reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. Abracadabra. You make me hot, you make me sigh. You make me laugh, you make me cry. Keep me burning for your love with the touch of a velvet glove. Abracadabra. I wanna reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. 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 I wanna reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. Abracadabra.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have a glorious panel here of facially follicled fellas to break down the upcoming card and talk some shit about the guys involved in it. We may even get a new kid pop in. You never know. He's around here somewhere. But before we get into it here, I do want to let you know, if you enjoy what we do around here, follow the show on all social media so that you don't miss an episode. We are everywhere. Facebook.com/I'm No Joe, Instagram, I'm No Joe, YouTube, I'm No Joe. If you are hearing us a week after we broadcast over on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe, where you can get the all audio version to your podcast consumption platform of choice, you already know about the show, but you can catch us live pretty much every Thursday over on youtube.com/I'm No Joe. If you're listening to us controversially, if you are watching us live, and I'm sorry, you can subsequently get the all audio version a week after it airs live over on anchor.fm. If you enjoy what we do enough to support the show live, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. Get your name at the end of the show. Helps us do what we do around here, and it gives you access to behind the scenes, unaired and unairable shit that goes on around here, let me tell you. But that being said, we have got, how do I put this delicately, a pay-per-view this weekend. I think that is as accurate of a statement as I can make. We'll get into it a little more here. First and foremost, though, the freshest guest a man could ask for is gracing us with his presence, and we are appreciative. Mr. Fresh03, how the fuck are you doing this evening, sir?
Busy.
Oh man, I can't even
Working
imagine.
on the prize list from the 24-hour stream. Apparently nobody bothered to sit around and put emails to names and actually email these people. So guess what I get to do?
Oh, fuck. What times?
So even though it's
The
pay-per-view.
I was gonna say, the silver lining, I suppose, is that we were able to raise a good chunk of money to help out over the weekend.
Yep,
And I'm very fucking proud of it.
28,000 sitting, 28,000 and change sitting right now. So
that's what I was last I looked, it was at just over 20 or just under 29,000. So
yep,
that's fucking awesome.
almost hit the 30K.
The link to that will be in the description. If you are seeing this and somehow have not been able to make your way over there, we love you, Mike. We fucking do everything we can to help push that over the goddamn limit if we can. Oh, that being said, as is the case more often than not, my Wednesday night homeboy, my Thursday night combat shit talking compatriot, the one and only Golf T Vapes. How you doing, sir?
I'm here. It's Thursday, and there is something to talk about. So, yeah,
Right.
We'll call it that, something.
Better than a kick in the shin, as they say.
That's true.
Actually, give me just 1 second here as I pull this up. As we like to do here, I want to take just a moment before we jump into this weekend's rolling dumpster fire of a card and do a quick little recap on some of the craziness that unfolded last weekend. If you folks might not have caught it, because wow, just wow. This is another one of those situations where sometimes being right is a blessing and a curse at the same time. There was some of the calls from last weekend that I didn't want to get right, and man, did we ever. To be fair, the Jun Young Park Chukui fight was pretty fucking good. Trezano looked decent. I gotta say, I did not expect to see Mike Trezano come back to the UFC rocking the power of the mullet, but business in the front, party in the back compels you. That boy was rocking it, and he was rocking, and he got the W. So, you know, the myth of the mullet continues. Main card. Holy shit. There was a lot of suspicion, I guess would be the best way to put it, as to how deep is Philip Haas's game really. Like we've seen the quickness, we saw the last one, but was the last one just to show out? Like, can he really handle deep waters? And him and fucking Kyle Dawkins use every single fucking second of that round to go after it, and he never faded. He never slowed down. He never backed off. I think realistically, Philip Haas is going to be a very, very big problem for the middleweight division here in a pretty short order of time. Once he gets his footing a little more, gets a little more comfortable being in the UFC, that dude's going to be a big fucking issue for some of those boys up there, I think. That will bring us to Diego versus Gregor. Oof supreme. Props to Gregor. Gregor looked real fucking crisp, real on point. Basically Gregor said that he was in a funk for a minute there, which understandably when you saw the highlight reel that he ended up on the wrong end of. But he says he's over it, and he's back to, being a killer and trying to chomp his way up the fucking list. And if that was any indication, you better watch that man too, because he looks pretty goddamn serious.
Good God, yes. And might I tip my cap to his ability to roll with a very high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner and get out of some sticky situations.
Yeah, one of the most dangerous Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners in the UFC, and made it look like it was, everyday walk in the park, no big deal, nothing out of the ordinary. Bravo. The bad part about that is that when that awesome fucking contest of badassery ended, we got a little bit of a shit show. We talked about it last week. There was a chance that it could end up being a shit show, and it might be the last time someone gets a chance to put on a shit show. And we were unfortunately right on both counts. De Lima basically wafted and stumbled his way into a unanimous decision victory. That was the last time the Crochet boss is going to get himself a chance to get himself a post-fight bonus in the UFC. That was the subsequent cutting of the Crochet boss immediately upon that loss. We knew it. We called it. I like the guy, but just because you like somebody's personality ain't going to help you in the world of prize fighting. Who'd have thunk it? But moving on to there, I will say this. It's not ideal that we had to wait as long as we did for it, but I will say that in my opinion, Neil on Neil violence lived up to the hype. Those boys got the fuck after it. Kind of seemed like there was something else on Jeff Neal's mind. I don't want to say he wasn't in the fight, but he looked preoccupied, I think is the best way to put it. Like somebody had dropped the fucking secret on him just before he walked out to the octagon, and it scrambled his fucking brain. He was there, but he wasn't, if that makes sense. Neil Magny, on the other hand, showed up to show out. Like he showed up ready for anything Jeff Neal had to throw at him, and got some pretty fucking impressive lands in. that was not an easy one by any stretch of the imagination, but Jeff Neal did come out afterwards and say that he agreed with the decision that Neil Magny did win the fight, and that maybe it's time that he take a little time off and get his head right, because he's just kind of been putting his face down and rushing through shit lately. So he's going to hopefully take a little time off, clear the fucking cobwebs, rest, relax, reset, get back after it rejuvenated. I think after a couple losses in a row like that, not the worst idea. I don't think the UFC is going to cut him off this loss by any stretch of the imagination, but if it's fucking with your head, take some time. It's the best advice that anybody can give for any situation. If something's fucking with your head, take a little fucking time. It helps. That being said, that will bring us into the very depressing co-main event for last Saturday. We've always seen that Cowboy has a problem when the big lights turn on and the pressure's on him. When the show is in town and you got to fucking perform, Cowboy historically shuts the fuck off. For whatever reason, there's a switch in the back of his head. That circuit breaker flips when there's too much pressure, too big of a crowd, too many eyes on him. For whatever reason, he's done it for as long as we can fucking remember. And for the first minute, 2 minutes there, it seemed like he might have figured out how to get past that, because everybody in the fucking world was watching to see what happens to Cowboy last Saturday. And for the first couple minutes there, it seemed like he figured out how to get past that shit. He's going to be all right. He's about to give Alex Morono the fucking business. And then for whatever fucking reason, out of nowhere, it's like, and even the commentating crew on the show mentioned that it seemed like Cowboy forgot how to block with his left hand. He kept his elbow glued to his ribs because he didn't want to take no fucking body kicks, but he never brought the hand all the way up to block the side of his face. And Morono absolutely fucking capitalized on it and landed like 4 different sets of combinations that all led in against where that left hand should have been to guard. That one hurt to watch a little bit. Like, seeing Conor land those fucking crazy shoulder strikes and then head kick Cowboy Cerrone for a fucking 30-second knockout, that's crazy as shit. But that's almost expected or understandable to a degree, because Cowboy Cerrone and Conor fucking McGregor. So craziness. So it made a little more sense when that shit went down. For Morono, 4.5 minutes in, to flip the switch and just start landing basic bitch combos, 3 and 4 shot fucking runs, and dinging him and Pez dispenser and Cowboy's fucking head with him. That sucked. That sucked a lot. The only silver lining I will give to that fucking rough situation to see unfold is that Dana White said immediately afterwards, and has since confirmed and doubled down on the fact that that's not how Cowboy Cerrone's legacy ends. He's not going out on something like that. Cowboy Cerrone is going to get a chance to get his ideal fight, the fight that he wants to make. Dana's going to give him the chance to make his final prove it or get the fuck out fight. And a lot of other fighters, Crochet Boss, perfect fucking example of the case, aren't getting that option. When they catch an L, they catch their fucking walking papers 25 minutes later. We knew Saturday evening the UFC had released Maurice Green. That absolutely could have been the case for Cowboy Cerrone. But Dana White, for once in his fucking life, strangely enough, did the right thing, and he's going to let a legend call his own final shot instead of taking him out behind the fucking watershed or just milking him till he can't be fucking milked anymore. So it's still going to be interesting to see who that ends up being and where and when we end up getting it, but it's going to be before the end of the year. I don't think we see Cowboy Cerrone in the UFC in 2022, and that sucks, but if this is an indication of what that would have looked like, let's give him one more and let him go. Let's not fucking make him keep dancing the stands. Oh, but that unfortunately brought us to our main event Saturday night. Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Watterson. We told you guys last week to expect lots of air punching, lots of air kicking, and lots of huh! Spoiler alert. We nailed that one on the fucking head like a pro carpenter. That's pretty much exactly what we got. Marina spent the majority of the fight piecing up from a distance. Michelle spent the majority of the fight striking at probably twice the distance that was actually effective, clearly not actually intending to hit Marina for a good portion of the fight. And in the end, unanimous decision went to Marina. Definitely not the most exciting main we have seen in a while. The interesting part, though, is the bonuses here. Gregor Gillespie got a hard-earned bonus for that fucking Diego finish. The opening fight, Christian Aguilera landed a fucking beautiful anaconda choke. Where was the Oh, no. Okay, I read that completely wrong. So fight of the night was Gillespie versus Ferreira, but since Ferreira missed weight, he's not eligible for a post-fight bonus. So Gregor Gillespie gets the entire $100,000 bonus to himself. That's awesome. That's exactly how that should fucking go. Performance of the night, Morono for stopping Cowboy. And then the other one went to Carlton Harris for the fucking anaconda choke that we were talking about earlier against Christian Aguilera, which if you haven't seen that fucking crazy goddamn lockup, go watch that one real quick too. Very cool. Medical suspensions were actually pretty fucking regular. Nothing out of the ordinary, which is almost strange unto itself. But again, at this point, we'll fucking take it. We've had nothing but fucking weirdness for a hot minute, so we'll be okay with that. Interesting week of news, I think, might be understatement of the decade. So Friday night, we had the Bellator, I think it was 258 is what they called it. And Rumble didn't look bad at all. Clearly was a little rusty getting back into the rhythm, but it like riding a bike, as they say, you saw the moment it clicked and Rumble was back in the octagon again. It wasn't Anthony Johnson in there jittering around again. Rumble was back, and it just almost a deep sigh of remembrance and the muscle memory kicking in, and then you saw him start to fucking get loose and really start to throw some fucking combos and get some movement going again, and yeah, it was nice to see Rumble back in the cage. The problem came about 2 hours after he won, 2.5 hours after he won, you say, somewhere in that time frame, when he was going to leave the Mohegan Sun after he had done his interviews and his nonsense with USADA and all that, or the athletic commission and whatnot. When he got arrested walking out of the Mohegan Sun for identity theft. Anthony Johnson was arrested on illegal use of a credit card in the purchase of his round trip ticket to his fight in his real name. He was immediately bonded out on $500 bond, so they were not terribly concerned about it. They let him go on a $500 bond for this, so it wasn't clearly a huge priority. We talked about this a little bit when we first heard about it. What this sounds, at least to me, like, is that somebody is trying to get their fingers into that newfound Bellator money that Anthony Johnson has signed himself up for. Because why would you steal someone's credit card and then buy yourself a round trip ticket in your own fucking name and then have them use your photo ID when you verify yourself at the airport gate? So there is a full paper trail with your fucking picture if you're using someone's stolen credit card. Something about this story.
Something smells fishy and it ain't the ocean.
Very fishy. And we're in the middle of the country, so it's sure the fuck ain't the ocean. Weird as fuck, if I do say so myself. I mentioned it earlier. The crochet boss is officially no longer with the UFC. Shortly after his announcement came the announcement that 14 other UFC fighters, including, I believe, 4 other fighters from last week's prelim card, have also been cut after a loss. Dana White tried to tell people before the first of the year, right before Christmas, that folks were going to start getting let go here pretty goddamn quick. And we might not have seen that 60-person list drop on Christmas Eve like we expected, but we sure the fuck have seen every couple weeks a dozen or 2 dozen or a dozen and a half people getting cut here and there. And that adds the fuck up. I think it was 14 total released plus the crochet boss that was actually released Saturday night after his fight. So yeah, they're starting to let folks go. I think it's going to get to the point where we're going to have to see some new contenders start to really step the fuck up and make household names out of themselves, because the folks that everybody know are starting to move along at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. In that vein, though, not released by the UFC, but officially announcing their retirement from the MMA side of the UFC this week was one Alan Jouban. He will still be doing his commentating and his desk work for the UFC, as well as his fucking modeling career, so he's not in danger of losing his millionaire status anytime soon, and now just has to take less punches in the process for it. So good the fuck on that, man. Get that money home, girl. Do you? Yes, queen. Speaking of moving along, though, we did get one kind of a bittersweet announcement really this week. We got confirmation yesterday in an interview that Anderson Silva has officially been offered multiple options to fight in Japan going forward. And after much debated consideration, he has decided that instead of going to give one more run in Japan, he's done with MMA. He's going to go ahead and hang him up. He's going to call it good. He has had enough. He doesn't want to be that guy who literally just gets beat because he has a name. And at this point, he shouldn't. He's still got a damn good fucking legacy behind him. Don't go out there and become a fucking punching bag for a paycheck. Have some fucking integrity. Let the spider remain the fucking spider. Good on you. It's not like there's not opportunities for Anderson fucking Silva in the world without getting punched in the face going forward. We did get a little bit of a weird one here. Confirmed yesterday, the New Jersey Athletics Commission has officially overturned Fabricio Verdum's loss from 2 weeks ago from the PFL 3 event. The controversy came when Fabricio had Hennen in a very fucking strong triangle choke from the bottom, and in the process of trying to break free or break Fabricio's grip, there was some debate as to whether he actually pushed off of Fabricio's shoulder or actually did a 2-contact tap, or as they referred to it, as a Brazilian tap, which is not the 3 complied in the unified rules signal for tap. Kind of to play with the guy's head, apparently, is the allegation here, is that the 2 taps makes you release your grip, but it's not actually a submission, so that way when you release your grip, you're fair game to get hit and you're unexpected, which is almost exactly what fucking happened. Shortly after the triangle did not stop Mr. Hennen, he started raining down mailbox-sized ouchies from heaven onto Fabricio's face, which left Fabricio doing a ground-mounted dab, and the referee stopped and saved his fucking brain cells. But the New Jersey Athletic Commission has decided that there was enough evidence of the 2 taps and an indicated intention of a 3rd tap to stop the match, that they overturned Fabricio's loss because he got knocked the fuck out. But they have overturned it to a no contest, and now both of those gentlemen have a single point in the PFL season going forward, as opposed to Fabricio having none and Hennen having 2. I'm not really sure if anyone really wins in that scenario, but it's official now.
I think the only one who really comes out a winner in that is Fabricio, for 2 reasons. One, he gets a point out of the deal. It gets overturned from no longer a loss on his record. And then 2, that motherfucker's never going to release anything until a fucking ref comes over and pulls him off.
That's true. Anybody that has to face him going forward, you're going to sleep. He's not letting go of anything ever again until he retires.
Yeah, that's the only good that comes out of that. And don't get me wrong, I am a fan of watching the Brazilian tap, because it does play with people's heads, and you see it used a lot to get out of things. And to be honest, I think it's fantastic little fucking mess with your head of bink bink.
Yeah, loophole, man. I'm all for it. You found a loophole, use that shit. And they do.
Especially if it works, it works. Granted, there are some guys that they don't give a shit. They're holding on till the fucking ref gets a hold of them, and that's how they should do it.
Yep.
Except for in those cases where the dude goes to sleep, but that's a different thing, because those guys know I'm not here to kill somebody. It's
right.
I mean, it might feel like it at the time, but at the same time, they know better.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It is the L off of Fabricio's record, but at the same time, now you've got to look people straight in the face and say that you let go of your choke and he knocked you the fuck out, because there's a video. So that definitely sucks. But we'll see how the season plays out for Fabricio over in PFL. I don't know, man. I just don't know. One other non-fight announcement piece of news that we actually just got today, about 2.5 hours ago. He did an interview talking about it over the weekend, but it got officially confirmed today. As of 7 p.m. Vegas time tonight, Dan Hardy is officially no longer under contract as a UFC fighter. He is officially a free agent. He mentioned, I believe it was the beginning of last year, that he had been cleared again by doctors to fight if he wanted to try and find someone. Obviously, he said he wasn't looking to step in and find some new kid to take his fucking head off, but he wanted to find someone of, comparable experience and age, so that it would be what they would call part of the legend series, or the aging guys that can still do it, just not against the fucking young bucks. So that is a little bit more of a possibility now, because he has officially been released from his UFC contract. So legally, he can negotiate with any other contract or any other contact sport organization, Bellator, Ryzen 1, BKFC, anybody now. So that really only limits him to a couple of guys who are still under UFC contract that he can't get that fight with, like the Nick Diaz fight, obviously. But that also opens up a whole bunch of other possibilities if he's really serious about this now. So he kind of put the ball in Dana's court, and Dana called his bluff. He says, "You want your fucking contract released so you can go fight somewhere? You're free, Dan Hardy. Spread your wings and fly, sweetheart." So let's see if he does.
He might do it just out of spite.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, he might just talk fucking Matt Brown into signing up for this shit, or fucking, you know what I mean? Like, somebody who's just retired from the UFC, just to fuck spite Dana.
He's always had a pretty open mouth about how he feels about the UFC. There's never been any hidden feelings or anything with Hardy there. So, to be quite honest, he'll probably do it just to spite them. Yeah, because, I could see him doing it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be mad at it either. I'd sure the fuck tune in. We did get a couple of interesting fight announcements here over the week. The first one we've got was kind of a letdown for this weekend in part. They've actually moved one of the fights from this Saturday's pay-per-view 262 out to next weekend's May 22nd card. Jack Hermansson versus Ed Shabazzian. They have not given any official reason, just that the fight has been moved from this weekend's pay-per-view to next weekend's fight night back at the Apex Center. Not that I'm saying it's a bad idea to take that fight off of a card you're going to make people pay for, but this fight, or this card rather, is getting a little anemic at this point. We did get an announcement over on the Bellator side of the house for June 11th, the Bellator 260 event. They have officially signed the contracts, and their co-main event next month will be Paul Semtex Daly taking on Jason Jackson himself. Jason Jackson is on one hell of a run over there. You don't get past Neiman Gracie easily, and he did it pretty fucking well. So Semtex better watch his ass, because this could be his walk-in papers fight if he don't pay attention. We got, after a whole fucking bunch of crying and bitching and whining, the confirmation that the July 17th card has now had added to it one Islam Makhachev versus one Thiago Moises. Islam quite literally came out and held his own little mini press conference crying about how no one in the top 10 would take a fight against him, and he doesn't understand how he's supposed to advance if no one in the top 10 will take a fight against him.
Spoiler alert, he's not in the fucking top 10, so no one in the top 10 has any reason to take a fight against him. He should be happy they gave him Thiago Moises. Dollar Store Calabib needs to calm the fuck down, in my opinion. We did get a pair of announcements for the August 21st events. Both the main event and what they're calling right now will most likely be the co-main event for that card. What they're calling will most likely be the co-main event will be Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Royval, which is fucking awesome because I think if Royval's shoulder is completely healed, he's about to tear back through and get his way up to that fucking title shot that he pretty much fucking had. The reason Moreno got the shot he did is because Royval hurt his shoulder in that fight. Moreno, I like him, but he didn't stop Royval. Royval got hurt. There's a big fucking difference. So if Royval is healed and he's legitimately healed, it's going to get real interesting down to that division this summer is all I'm going to say. But then we got the announcement of the main event for the August 21st card. There had been rumors circulating about this one for a while, but apparently there was hesitancy in signing the contract. Go fucking figure. But it's inked now and it is legit, signed, sealed, delivered. August 21st main event will be Paulo Costa versus Jared Cannonier. I am in for it. Get that fucking division moving along. Now that we know that Izzy's not doing the double champ thing, keep that fucking line rotating. Yeah, let's go, baby. Keep them going.
Thank fucking Christ.
I agree. Get shit moving. We got enough stale fucking log jams in the UFC and enough divisions right now. Let's get some fucking blood flowing around, damn it. But that will bring us to the announcement for the September 25th card, what they are calling now most likely will be the headline for that event. One Thiago Santos versus one Johnny Walker. That's got some very, very interesting potential written all over that one as well. Both of those guys really, really fucking need that win. Two last minute fight announcements we got this afternoon here. The first one for next weekend's May 22nd, last minute addition to the card. Chris Barnett will be taking on quick turnaround Kenosha killer himself, Ben Rothwell, staying in shape to get that money, baby. And then the other last minute announcements they gave us today is for the July 17th card, which just keeps getting crazy fucking fights added to it left and right. This one, stepping back in to try and catch some more shine, Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot? I don't remember how the fuck they actually said that. Stepping in to take on Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. So it will be very interesting to see if Little Heathen is off of his fucking shit or if he is ready to get back in it and get serious, because he's another one of those guys that if he don't shit or get off the pot, he might end up with walking papers pretty fucking soon as well. As fun as he is to watch, the UFC is only going to let you lose so fucking many. Little Heathen's in a rough fucking place right now. It's going to be interesting to see how his future plays out. That being said, though, that will bring us into this weekend's namesake for our episode here, the marquee card of the weekend, the UFC 262 Oliveira versus Chandler. I genuinely don't remember when I was this unenthusiastic about a pay-per-view card. We've had some pretty meh pay-per-views in the last year or two, but this one's heavy on the snooze factor. 3 fights on the early prelims. To their credit, the opening fight has some potential to be really fun. Christos Giagos versus Sean Soriano could be fun. It's also another one of those two wrestlers who could turn it into a horrible kickboxing match, and it's just 15 minutes of why the fuck am I watching this? So, take that with a grain of salt. The actual prelims, on the other hand, though, for this weekend are, in my opinion, really better than the main card. The prelims realistically have better fights overall than the main card does, in my opinion. Jordan Wright versus Jamie Pickett is going to be a fucking scrap. That's two young, hungry fucking prospects. And they've both got great wrestling. They both got decent striking, and they both have gas tanks. They're going to go ape shit. That's going to be fun to watch. Andrea Lee versus Antonina Shevchenko. That's a fucking scrap. That's a scrap that they've been dancing around for a while, and that's got a lot of fun potential. Plus, if you watch the press conferences, Andrea Lee kind of talked a little bit of like passive aggressive shit. It was real interesting. Shevchenko was real respectful, but she was like, I'm gonna break this bitch. So, Shevchenko style. There's a lot of potential for that fight to be really fucking fun. And then you got the fucking weirdness that is Lando Vanata. Not only being Lando Vanata, but on top of that, now he's making his featherweight debut. This is his first time down at 45. And the UFC ain't doing him any goddamn favors. They threw him the fucking monster that is Mike Grundy. This dude looks like a fucking failed super soldier experiment, for crying out loud. If his forehead gets any bigger, it's going to get its own zip code. He is a fucking beast. He is an aggressive featherweight grappler, and he's got pretty fucking good hands. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lando's weirdness stacks up. Not to mention how Lando handles 45 for the first time, because that's a pretty goddamn stacked weight class. And if he can handle it, it could be real interesting down there for him. But it's going to be a learning experience against Grundy for damn sure. But that brings us to the premier prelim. Andrei Muniz versus Jacare Sosa. I say it all the time. I admire confidence until it turns into cockiness. Like, there's something to be said about knowing you're a bad motherfucker and telling people I'm a bad motherfucker and I know what I'm capable of. There's a point where it goes from being confident in yourself to, you can't fucking touch me, I'm the best there ever was. That's when it turns into a little bit of a detriment more than a compliment to your skill set. And Andrei Muniz came out in the virtual media day yesterday and said, not only is my jiu-jitsu better than Jacare's, but I'm going to take him down and I'm going to show him that all he knows how to do is ground game. And I'm even better at him than that. So I'm going to submit Jacare Sosa on the ground this weekend. Oh, young man. To his credit, he did start that interview by saying that Jacare Sosa is quite literally a living legend and that he has genuinely grown up admiring and respecting what Jacare has done in the world of jiu-jitsu and in MMA subsequently. But then he talked all that stupid shit about showing Jacare what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be and submitting Jacare on the ground. It's like, the best way that can be described was actually in the response to that by Jacare in the virtual media day, when he said in very, very clear and enunciated English, sometimes young lions kill old lions. And sometimes they die trying. I legitimately got fucking goosebumps when he said that and almost whinnied like a fucking horse. There was a 13-year-old girl at a Bieber concert in my chest and butterflies went, hee hee. I was ready for Jacare to just smack his dick on the table and reporters to line up sucking it. Like, game, set, match, mic fucking drop. Like, that's the best response you can have in that situation because that sums it up fucking perfectly. There is absolutely a chance that this young lion could come in and just fucking take Jacare right the fuck out. But that's also a very dangerous proposition to undertake. And you cannot do so lightly. I admire the courage of the kid, but I think Jacare is he's gonna teach this fucking kid a lesson. It's not gonna be pretty. I don't think Jacare is gonna knock him out because I don't know that Jacare's got enough power to knock out a young kid like this, but I think the kid might actually be stupid enough to try and take it to the ground, and if he does, I feel sorry for his joints and the manipulation they're about to receive.
So I actually think Muniz has a chance. He's coming in riding 6. 3 of those 6 have been by submission. One of those by TKO. He's certainly got that young lion thing going.
Yeah, that's why.
Jacare 3 in a row loss. So he's in danger of getting his papers. So
yeah,
unfortunately,
I think the last one gets him an asterisk though. Not that it doesn't count, but that fucking Kevin Holland throwing
off the back
fucking
knockout.
Hail Mary from the back knockout. Like, I'm not saying we disregard it, but I'm saying there's an asterisk next to that. We can discuss that when it's
All right, we'll put an asterisk next to that. Yeah, I mean, Muniz has all the makings of a pretty darn good fighter. So far, he's been able to back up what he said. You know, Muniz or Jacare, he's riding 2 with an asterisk. He might just get caught this weekend. He might just get caught. Those young guys, man, they're quick. They're full of rage and anger.
Yeah.
Jacare might not have the whole thing anymore. So I'm actually gonna go Muniz this weekend. So I've liked what I've seen so far. I've really liked what I've seen so far from Muniz. You got some courage going in trying to tap out Jacare. So see what you got, homie. I'm excited to see it.
I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
All I can say is that is one bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him. Because you know what? Calling that before you even get in there with him, that's a big tall order for somebody who's known for their ground game. However, look, we get Brazilian on Brazilian violence, and usually they tend to shy away from that. They try not to do the beating up their countrymen thing. However, I think I have a hard time pulling against Jacare, but Jacare has not looked like Jacare in a long, long time to me. I think the last time we legitimately saw him look like Jacare was when he beat Brunson back in 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pushing 4 years ago at this point, and I mean it's a solid 3 right now, but we haven't seen him look like himself since that fight. Look at the list that he's lost to. And he's lost to, well, of course, we got that wonderful, crazy fucking back knockout. Then you've also got, who else in the middleweight division that's fought for the fucking title already? what's his fucking name? Fucking drawing a blank.
So he lost
Fucking
to
Gastelum.
Holland. He lost to Holland, and then before that he lost to Blachowicz, and before that to Hermansson.
Yeah. And he also lost to Kelvin Gastelum.
Right, but he beat Weidman after that.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a gigantic, long fucking skid, but look at the names he's lost to. He's lost to people that are pretty close to the top of the game. So he's not the same Jacare that we used to know. To be quite honest, I think he's a shell of himself at this point. So I have a hard time pulling for him this weekend. I really think he's going to get dethroned. Do I think he's going to get submitted? No. But I definitely see a new Brazilian grappling force here.
I can potentially see that, yeah. I see what you're saying. Definitely going to be interesting to see how that match plays out for sure. Following that, the opening of the actual main card itself. Now, I say that with an asterisk as well, because if this fight makes it to Saturday night, this could be real interesting. But we were talking about this a little bit in the pre-show here before we went live. Matt Schnell versus
Rogerio Bontorin.
Because I know Tommy loves the names. Might not actually make it to the canvas here. This is a last-minute opponent change for Bontorin. He was originally scheduled to take on Alex Lopez, who had to pull out because of injury. But Schnell originally wanted, when he agreed to take this on short notice, wanted to take it at 25 because he likes fighting down at flyweight. He's a natural flyweight. He says he walks at like 127, 128-ish. It's perfect for him down there. But because it was such a short notice change for Bontorin, he could not make 25. And apparently there's some question as to whether he'll actually be able to make 35 for the scale tomorrow or not. So if he does make 35, this could be a real interesting fight, almost essentially at a catch weight, for lack of a better determination here. But I'm first and foremost more concerned with Rogerio actually making that fucking scale and not tipping over 135 when he steps on it. If he can make weight and this fight is official, that's a hell of a fucking way to open that pay-per-view. Both of these guys are little fucking powerhouse scrappers. They're tiny, tiny guys with Energizer bunny batteries in their backs. So if Bontorin makes weight, this could be real interesting. If he doesn't, I think it's going to be a little rough for him. But watching Schnell at the virtual media today, he says, I had breakfast this morning. I don't remember when the last time I've gotten to have breakfast during a fight week was. He says, I'm in a good mood. I'm on weight. I'm feeling great. I've got a full belly. This weekend is good for me no matter what. I'm ready. So the ball really is in Bontorin's court at this point. If he makes weight, this is going to be a fucking scrap. If he doesn't make weight, I think Schnell is going to fucking dance around and just beat the brakes off of him for as long as it takes for him to get a stoppage.
I think you're right on point on saying if this makes weight. I have a hard time thinking that somebody's going to make weight when they say they can't make 125 at a month's notice, and that's where they normally fight.
Right.
That tells me they're going to have a hard time making 135. Then to top that off, if you're going to have a hard time making it down to 135, how useful are you going to be during the fight? You're going to be Are you going to be Masvidal useful in his first fight against Usman where he did it on 7 days? Not even. Are you going to be that kind of fucking useful? Or are you going to be the weird, rare crackhead who has fucking infinite fucking go? I mean, there's really no in between when we see that. People who have hard times making weight, either they have crackhead energy or none at all and they gas after the first round. And I don't see this fight getting finished in the first round. You're not going to finish Snell in the first round. I don't see that happening, especially not when he's walking around fat and happy right now. Because you know what? Fat and happy and fighting basically at a natural weight, albeit heavier than he normally walks around at. The only plus side that Arugio can get out of this is possibly Matt being heavier than he normally is. His body doesn't adapt well to the cardio situation, which that could very well happen because you got to think, since he's 8-10 pounds heavier than he normally walks around at.
That's an even 10, yeah.
How much cardio can you do without burning all the calories to drop that weight? Or how much more is he fucking eating? I mean, There's a lot of factors into that. So, I mean, I still think it's a great fight. I just wish that they would have pushed it back a little more and gave them fucking ample time to let Arugio bring his fucking weight down. So, I mean, for this division, this fight makes a lot of fucking sense. I mean, at 125, this would have been perfect. At 135, doesn't make a damn bit of difference. And the worst part is, they'll probably adjust the 125 rankings based on this fight when they shouldn't, because it's at 135.
Yep. Agreed.
I mean, they're 8 and 9, respectively. So, I mean, worst you do is flip flop. But, man, I hope these guys make weight. I really do hope. Because they are just gonna go. Schnell's gonna be Schnell's gonna be looking possible submissions. Bontario's gonna be looking for possible submissions. Plus, he's a sneaky ass fucking knockout artist. Bontario is a sneaky knockout artist. If he comes in with full energy and they're able to put their fight together, this will probably be fight of the night. Like, this shit will be on point. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I think if Bontorio is able to get down there and come into the ring in halfway decent shape, which hopefully his cardio holds up and everything holds together on his body, putting this sort of a weight cut together. He's really good at applying pressure, like during the fight. He's really good. I think there's a good chance that Schnell might not be able to deal with it quite as well. So if Bontorio comes down, he's looking healthy. I fully believe he can win this fight pretty easily. I think he could. I just that knockout power he carries, I think that could carry him through. But this fight's completely up in the air. We don't really know exactly where Bontario is going to come in. He comes in a little wrecked from that weight loss, like Matt Schnell will eat him alive. So yeah. It's all dependent on where this weight cut comes in. I can't really give you a fair answer until we see where everything comes together.
I'm kind of right there with you. I agree. I think if that cut is hard for Arugio, if he has to cut a lot of that late, especially, I think Matt Schnell is going to fucking wood chipper him, man. I think he's just going to wear him the fuck out quick and get it done with. But if he can get it down right and he can hang, this could be, realistically, I agree, this could be dark horse fight of the fucking night, realistically. The other potential, in my opinion, here for fight of the night is the one that comes right after this one. Possibly second best fight on the card, in my opinion, really. Shane Burgos versus Edson Barbosa. Man, there's never a place, a time, or a point in a fight where Edson Barbosa isn't dangerous. If he's on the feet, he's dangerous. If he's on the ground, he's dangerous. If he's against the cage, he's dangerous. If you're in the center of the octagon with him, he's dangerous. The problem is Shane Burgos is real fucking similar to that, but in a different way. Barbosa has quite literally probably the most deadly kicks in all of MMA, in my opinion. With the exception of maybe Valentina, just because she showcased them a little more than him at this point. But, man, those two, they can end you at any point in the fight with a kick if they want to. Edson also has a great fucking ground game to cover that. So he doesn't have to worry about trying to kick you, because if you try and take him down, one, his defense is pretty goddamn good, but two, his ground game is pretty fucking good as well. But Shane Burgos is really starting to show that he is equally as dangerous, not because he's got so many techniques, but because he literally has punching power from any position in the ring at any point in the fight. He's almost like a shrunk down, lightened up Derek Lewis. At any point during that match, he can reach back, pull a wild hair out of his ass, and connect with a shot that's going to send you into next Tuesday. His striking, his boxing itself, it reminds me so much of Jorge. He's like a mini Masvidal in his punching acumen. I love Edson Barbosa, but man, that's been one of the few weaknesses we have really seen in his game over the years. For all the fucking laundry list of tools he's got at his disposal, his chin has been the one thing that has always betrayed him. If you can get in there and get a couple good shots in a row, real good shots, he can and has been stunned long enough for you to get in there and get a fucking stoppage or to put him out. Burgos is that type of dude. He's looking for that moment the entire goddamn fight. And he's got a good enough gas tank to where he will hold that power for all 15 minutes of this match. And you know damn well Edson is not going to make it easy for him. So this, in my opinion, is going to come down to who can really get the advantage here, because both of these dudes are badass. Both of these guys can strike. Both of these guys have the gas tank to go 15, whether it's on the feet, whether it's on the ground, whether it's back and forth, off the cage, wrestling, rolling, doesn't matter. Both of these dudes can do it for the full 15. The difference here is that Barbosa does it a little more well-rounded. There's a little more tools in his toolbox, and Burgos just really kind of focuses more on that striking and just pours everything into it. So as much as I hate to say it, I think this is Burgos's fight to lose. I think if he keeps his head on his shoulders and stays in there and just keeps the pressure and keeps his striking on point and doesn't fall into Barbosa's traps, which he will try to set, I think Burgos has the power and the IQ. He could put Barbosa to fucking sleep Saturday night. I don't think it comes early, and I don't think it comes easy, but I think this fucking war could end with Barbosa staring at the fucking ceiling late in the third.
We just saw Barbosa get back on track. Like he was starting to look like a shell of himself. Like he really was. He finally looked like he was getting back on track. The problem with Edson Barbosa is he kind of fights to the level of his opponent. And he'll get a little bit emotional. and allow his opponent to dictate where the fight's going. And with Burgos, you don't want to do that because Burgos likes to push at a higher pace, push with more volume than probably Barbosa is probably going to be willing to go, which will let Burgos win rounds on him. I fully expect us to go to decision. By the way, I don't think Barbosa is going out against Burgos. I see this being a really tough decision win for Burgos. Is where I'm going to go with it. I think this one's going to be a really fun fight. I think these two are going to put on a hell of a show. But I think Burgos will come out on top, and I think it's going to be a really tough decision. Because that's what Barbosa does. Barbosa puts out really, really tough fucking fights. So
I think the greatest thing about this is watching the lead up to this fight. Burgos was watching fucking Barbosa in his heyday of spinning wheel kicks and knocking out Edom while fucking Burgos was in high school. So that's a pretty cool little fucking quip here from that not only have we seen Barbosa get back on track, but now he's got a kid that used to basically look up to him as far as MMA is concerned in front of him. Now, we've seen this before where sometimes those kids get a little starstruck and it fucks them up. Oh, I'm not saying Burgos is that guy because he's been in there with some pretty big names already. It's not that he's fresh to the roster or anything like that. So he's definitely got some people in front of him that you know who they are. I mean, he fucking beat out Cub Swanson, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he's had his fair share of actual good, solid names on his run so far. I'm very excited to see what happens with Burgos here, whether or not the bright lights get him from being in there with somebody he goes, that's somebody I remember watching as a kid, basically. Wasn't even a fucking adult at that time. That also tells you another thing. Edson's managed to still perform at a high level this fucking long into his career, that the young bucks that are learning all the new tricks and shit like that it's coming full circle for him. When he was that young guy that was throwing all the tricks and highlight reel knockouts, a lot of those guys have watched those, so they know what to look for, which makes it very difficult for a guy like Edson Barbosa to knock somebody out that's new and up and coming. However, he does have one thing on Burgos, and that is that man can leg kick a lot better than Burgos can. He's been doing it since before the leg kick was cool. Like, you go back, watch some of his early fights, he KO'd a guy with leg kicks like in his second UFC fight or something like that. Fucking absolutely crazy. I mean, we're definitely going to see a good stand-up war. I don't foresee this going to the ground because I think Burgos wants to bang with him. And you know what? I can't blame him. If you're going to go out there and fucking fight somebody you watched growing up, you may as well go into that stand-up territory and see how you really, really fare. I think we see a good 3-round stand-up war. I think this ends up going to decision. And I do think that Barbosa is going to get outpointed. There's a chance that he could win on points, but I don't think Barbosa wins this, even though we did see him get back on track. I think he's just getting a tad bit too long in the tooth with a really hungry Shane Burgos in front of him.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love fucking Edson. I will cheer Edson on until he decides he wants to stop fighting, just like I do every other fucking legend that I respect, and he is a legend at this point. But I completely agree. I think at this point we're starting to see that Edson, for the badass that he still very much is getting to be a little long in the tooth. And in this business, that gets to be a very big problem for you real fucking quick. That being said, that will bring us to the People's Co-main event, as it were here, the third from last match on this weekend's pay-per-view card. Caitlyn Chukagian versus Viviani Arugio. Honestly, there's genuinely not a whole lot to say about this fight in total. Caitlyn Chukagian has fairly confidently cemented herself as sort of the top 5 gatekeeper in the ladies flyweight division. Viviani Arugio is very much one of the UFC's new favorite up and coming prospects, and everything, all signs point to Viviani Arugio beating Caitlyn Chukagian in dominant fashion within the first 2 rounds, and then getting confirmed as the next title challenger against Valentina. It's not that Chukagian's terrible. She's really not, but she very much is the Holly Holm of the ladies 125-pound division. She's made it to the pinnacle, but could never grab that fucking golden ring. And it seems like no matter how hard she tries to stay at the top, she just isn't on the championship level. She's good. She's just not good enough for the competition in that division. I think that's exactly what we're going to see this weekend here. I like Viviani Arugio. I really do. I think she's got a lot of potential. Nothing personal, but I really don't think there's anything particularly special about her, though, especially not if you're looking at something that could potentially make you a threat to Valentina Shevchenko. Because at this point, you're fighting the number 2 in the division. You're trying to prove that you are the most undeniable threat in the division to Valentina fucking Shevchenko. I don't know if you ladies have seen any of her fights, but you all have a long way to go. I do think that Viviani is going to take this one. I'm pretty sure she's just going to mollywop the shit out of Caitlyn Chukagian here. But I still don't think that makes her a good matchup for Valentina, even though I'm pretty confident that's what we're going to find out come next week.
So, I mean, we know the game plans are pretty clear. Chukagian, she wants to push against the fence. Pretty much Holly Holm the fight. There's a pretty good chance that happens. If she does, she's going to start calling for another championship fight. Unfortunately, I kind of see that happening with the young contender, because Chukagian's really, really, really good at it. Really, really, really good at working her game, and I think that'll be a clear upset. But I mean, she takes a couple shots, she's absolutely just going to push against the fence, lean, stomp, punch, and just work the fight that way. Which, once again, I've made this comment before about the ladies divisions. There's way too many fighters like this. Way too many fighters like this on the roster that are capable of pulling this game and just holding it for 15, 25 minutes and just doing that over and over and over again. And it's a real detriment. It's a real detriment to the divisions. But I see it happening again. So there you go.
Yeah, this is the epitome of what we call the Holly Holm effect. Caitlyn wins, gets another shot, loses. Person who beats her gets the shot. That's all this is. It's a vicious fucking cycle. And, well, let's see. If we're looking at the way Caitlyn has been, it's win a fight, lose a fight, win a fight, lose a fight, win a fight, lose a fight. She hasn't been on a solid fucking tear since prior to her first title shot. That was the last time we really got a good solid run out of her. I mean, we got to see her beat up a lackluster Calvillo over 3 fucking rounds, which, to be quite honest, really wasn't that great. She got knocked out by fucking Andrei, who promptly got her ass whipped by fucking Shevchenko. And, I mean, although she did beat the other Shevchenko, which surprised to fucking no one, because unfortunately, Valentina is the only Shevchenko who puts on dominant performances every time. As much as I would like to say that about Antonina, we know better. But yeah, she's been hot fucking cold since her run to the initial title shot. So, to be quite honest, she's due another loss here, because, I mean, she just did come off that win against Calvillo recently, and so she's probably going to end up losing it, and then we get to see Viviani Arugio get the next call for the title, or be the next person, or lamb to the slaughter. Yeah, nothing exciting about that division right now. As much as I would like it to be exciting, there's nobody that holds a candle to Valentina in that division.
No, not by a long shot, really. But with that being said, that will bring us to the co-main event of the evening for Saturday's UFC 262 card. Tony Ferguson versus Benil Daryush.
I'll go first.
Boy,
I know you, it looks like you were about to say something, but me and TJ are supposed to go first.
yeah, no, I'm
Tony Ferguson's crazy ass. He's all worked up again. He's fighting one of the calmest dudes on the planet, Benil Daryush. Benil Daryush is a destroyer of fucking worlds. Good night, Tony Ferguson. You are getting knocked the fuck out in the second round, because you're going to play your games. Benil Daryush is going to kind of smile his way through the first round, and then he's going to have a fucking enough of your antics, and you are going to get knocked the fuck out. Like, Benil Daryush is going to calmly place his fist against your jaw, and you're going to go to sleep. That's how this goes. That's how this goes. Tony Ferguson, you are a shell of the man you used to be. I'm glad you've gotten your life together a bit compared to where you were, but it's time. It's time for you to take a nap. You'll be staring at the lights come Saturday.
This is a hot fucking mess of what I'm going to call, does Tony Ferguson have his shit together yet? And I say yet because I still think he has a lot left to give, but he has steadily been screwing himself. The last time we saw Tony Ferguson fucking win a fight, other than Cowboy, he was scaring Dana White at weigh-ins. Hasn't done that since. But Benil Daryush is fucking he had one good setback, and he's back on the fucking train tracks, moving at a high rate of speed. I think Tony Ferguson is taking this a little bit too lightly and thinking that he's just going to straight walk through Benil. Now, don't get me wrong. If he comes out as a Tony Ferguson old and fucking death, then there's a possibility. But from what we've seen in people being able to pick Tony apart lately, that's a strong if. And Benil has looked solid since his skid. He's got his shit back together. His head is in the game. Not to mention, he's fighting for a family now, being as his first child's on the way. So he's got a little extra motivation. Sometimes it's a kick in the pants. Other times, it can also be a detriment. Because some people thinking about that family shit way too much. Although, from what I saw of him in the lead up to this, through the Embedded series, I've actually become less of a fan of Benil on this. He treats his wife like shit. Like, I'm just going to sit here for 15 minutes and watch this fight. Well, you can see she's clearly uncomfortable sitting there and waiting. Or talking about, oh, you haven't done any hard work yet, as she's pregnant. No, motherfucker. Not the correct answer. You're a cocksucker, sir. All aside from that, fantastic fucking fighter. But as far as this fight goes, based on what we've seen out of Benil and the slow demise of Tony Ferguson, I think we see a Benil victory here and him getting a skyrocketing shot up into the top 5 off of this to work his way towards that lightweight fucking belt, which good luck, dude. That's all I can say, because the rest of the lightweight division up at the top is pretty fucking thick right now, with the exception of one cocksucker. But anyhow, yeah, it is what it is.
So I think the best way for me to sum this up is that Tony Ferguson is Tony Ferguson's worst enemy. The person who has the most control over Tony Ferguson is Tony Ferguson, and he chooses not to exhibit that. And he does stupid things that undermine his own intentions. And today's weigh-in was a perfect example of that. Benil, as he always is, was cool, calm, and collect. That dude is more chill than the other side of a fucking pillow. Always. And Tony starts fucking screaming at him about being a bitch for helping Justin Gaethje train for the fight against him. Without missing a beat, Benil picks up his microphone and says, he's a friend of mine. If you'd have called me and asked, I'd have helped you train for the fight against him. There's a lot to unpack in that statement, but I think the thing that Tony missed, for me at least, that was the most important, Justin Gaethje's training partner for the fight against Tony Ferguson was Benil fucking Daryush. How did Tony's fight against Justin Ferguson, or against Justin Gaethje, end? You think that was coincidence? You think that just happened to be the striking that Justin always has? You think that had nothing to do with the fact that Benil fucking Daryush was his training partner for that fight? Shake your head a couple more times, Tony. I don't think you got that fucking cobweb all the way out yet. The dude who helped the guy break your fucking skull is the guy that you're about to fight, and you're telling him he doesn't know how to fucking punch. Tony Ferguson used to be the dude, in my opinion. In peak El Kukui, Tony Ferguson was the dude you would point to show your buddies what MMA fighters were supposed to fucking be like. That guy is not the guy that's going to climb into the cage Saturday night. Tony Ferguson is his own worst enemy, and it's going to cost him Saturday night. I don't think we see 2 rounds. I think he comes out stupid and flashy and cocky, and I think Benil quite calmly puts him on his fucking ass before we see the end of the first round. I think Tony's done. I think his greatest years are behind him, and the only greatness he has left stuck up in his head. I don't think he has it anymore. I think he's lost too much of a step. I think he's being too loud. You saw when Tony was the best that he was. Sure, he talked a little bit, but he'd only talk a little bit because Tony used to say, let your actions do your talking for you. That's all he does anymore. I think Tony slipped out of what used to be one of the greatest positions in the UFC. And I think he's scared himself. And I think you can see it starting to shine through. That insecurity is starting to overwhelm what used to be reflected as confidence. And I think Benil can see through it too. I don't think Tony has a good night Saturday. That being said, though, excuse me, that will bring us to the main event of the evening. The determination of the current vacant lightweight championship of the UFC. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. This is not the 155 title fight that pretty much anyone saw coming. But this is the fight we've got right now.
Okay. I'll take it. Chandler is more impressive than I thought. That's what I'll say about him. He's got the power that he says he has. He's held up well against one of the contenders here in the UFC. I didn't think he was going to hold up nearly as well as he did. The problem is you're running into the finisher here in the UFC right now. Like he doesn't, like Oliveira does not decision fights. They are finished one way or the other. And it's a thing of fucking beauty. He's either going to knock you out or he's going to catch you in that fucking slick ass fucking guillotine of his. And it doesn't matter which way you go at him. Like he's fought knockout artists, he's fought ground experts, he's fought everybody up to this point. And nobody gives this dude the credit that he fucking deserves. And mark my fucking words. Mark these fucking words. This one is over in the first. Because that's how Chandler fights, and Oliveira is going to catch him. Oliveira is going to catch him. I don't know whether it's going to be a knockout or a submission, but Oliveira is going to catch him because Chandler's going to come bum rushing the fuck out like an idiot. And like I said, Chandler's a better fighter than I gave him credit for. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he has been here in the UFC. And granted, it's only been one fight. So, I mean, you can take the sample size for what it's fucking worth and giving a dude a title shot at with one fucking fight under his belt. I mean, who is this dude? Brock Lesnar? Like, but Oliveira is going to finish him at some point in the first. Oliveira is going to finish him at some point in the first. Prove a fucking point that he is easily one of the best pound for pound fighters in the UFC. And finally get the credit that he deserves. So Charles Oliveira somewhere in the first.
You know, I'm covering my face because I don't know how to describe this other than one of these definitely deserves to be in the conversation. The other should still be working his way here. And to be quite honest, I really think that the UFC fucked up here. Big time. Do you know how much bigger of a payday they could have had at International Fight Week by making the Poirier fucking McGregor fight a title fight? Instead, we don't have a headline for this fight, so we need to do something. Let's make this a title fight for the vacant belt. And Poirier and McGregor were already fucking booked. So we'll do Charles Oliveira, because he's a fantastic fucking lightweight. Definitely deserves to be in that fucking conversation. But then, let's give Michael Chandler a shot because for some odd reason, he's Dana's golden boy? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Which seems really odd because generally Dana doesn't take to people coming from other organizations very well. He'll let them in, but he's kind of always just like, here, shoo, piss off type situation. Chandler, no. For those of you who've forgotten, he signed September of last year. October, he was weighing in as a backup for a championship fight at lightweight. As a fucking backup in Dubai. He then gets a fight shortly thereafter. And then here he is, less than a fucking year into his UFC residency. One knockout win. And you get a title shot? Does that mean any other Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes off of Dana White's Contender Series can now get one official pro fight in and can immediately get a title shot? It's kind of what it's starting to look like. I don't know if you guys noticed, but all of that, let's shove these Contender Series people down your fucking throats, whether you like it or not. There seems to be a recurring segment here. Problem with this is, Michael Chandler had a good run at Bellator. He really did. He legitimately did. I'll give him that. He made an impressive first statement in the UFC. I will give him that. Charles Oliveira, on the other hand here, has been grinding his fucking ass off for, 9 years in the UFC now? I'm going to say like 2012, 2013, something like that. And slowly making his name for himself, not getting the credit that he's deserved. But he's slowly been working his way, and now he's finally getting the credit. Problem is, you have this undeserved motherfucker across the cage from him. And I'm not saying Michael Chandler couldn't get there at some point, because, I mean, look, he obviously showed up that first fight and said, hey, I'm in business here in lightweight. But he's not on the same level, in my opinion, as Charles Oliveira. I mean, for Christ's sakes, does anybody remember what happened to him in Bellator on his way out the door before he came to the UFC? Knock the fuck out. Charles Oliveira has been fighting the highest of high-level lightweights, whereas Michael Chandler, his impressive run at lightweight in Bellator has been against the relatively unknown. And I say relatively because most people don't follow Bellator. They follow UFC. It's kind of like people are watching NFL versus college football. Some people follow both. Some people only follow one or the other. Most people in MMA community follow the UFC. They don't generally follow Bellator. And I say most people in the MMA community, I mean most casual fans. So I really have a hard time betting against Charles Oliveira. I like where Michael Chandler's head is at. Yes, I'm going to push through him. I'm going to make him quit. He has all the belief in himself, which is fucking great. You need that in this business. But at the same time, all that belief in yourself, he's lying to himself the whole fucking time, thinking he's just going to make Charles Oliveira quit. Charles Oliveira grew up in a fucking favela in fucking Brazil. Of any of the places in the world that would just make you want to quit and give up, that's it. That's like living in the fucking slums of India, except for it's in Brazil. Same fucking concept. That dude has literally lifted himself up and continue to move forward and fight forward. Chandler, I hate to tell you this, but growing up in the United States, the only work hard you did was in fucking all of the sports you played growing up while your parents Cadillac'd you back and forth to fucking practice and games. Not to mention, Charles Oliveira is fucking gnarly. So I think this does get out of the first round. I think we see a gassed Michael Chandler going into the late second round and Charles Oliveira finishing him early into the third.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it. And I'm gonna. Because realistically, there are two people in the UFC lightweight division who should be fighting for the vacant lightweight championship belt. And they're already booked for a fight for July 10th. So we're not going to get to see that fight. What we are going to get to see is the next two people in line for that belt, being Michael Chandler, who came in off of a lackluster reputation during his signing period, got a lucky stoppage against number 6, and is now fighting for the belt after a single match in the organization, against Charles Dubronx Oliveira, who is the single submission record holder in any division in the UFC, tied with Cowboy for most post-fight finish bonuses. This man has been breaking his way through the rankings in the UFC to get his chance at the belt. Almost there. Almost fucking there. But because of the way all this fucking weirdness has played out, he got pushed up a little bit ahead of the natural progression, I think would be the way to phrase it. The problem here is that we know Dubronx is good everywhere. We know he can stand and box with you like Max Holloway for 25 fucking minutes if he has to. He can wrestle on the ground with you, going fucking move for move, roll for roll, position for position. If you want to play that jiu-jitsu game with him, you want to play that wrestling game with him. You want to get crazy, you want to stand and throw fucking flashy shit, Dubronx got a fucking toolbox. He can open that bitch up and throw some fucking ridiculousness at you. The only real problem here, he's a little guy. He's not big for the division. He really isn't. Honestly, he would probably be the end-all be-all if he would cut that extra 10 and go down to featherweight, because he would be a beefy featherweight with a godly skill set. But at lightweight, he's kind of average sized. The bad part about that is that Michael Chandler is a fucking Goodyear blimp. Michael Chandler walks at just shy of 200 fucking pounds and cuts a hard cut to 155, which is why after he weighed in October, he didn't even consider taking another fight until the end of the year because it's so hard on his body because he cuts so much fucking weight to make it to 155 pounds. So when they walk into that cage Saturday night, Do Bronx is probably going to be about 167, 168 pounds, as fully recharged as you can be after a weight cut. But Chandler's going to walk into that cage probably close to 185, 183-ish, because that's closer to what he would naturally be walking around at. That makes for big problems in two arenas. One, if this does become a grappling or a wrestling match, because Chandler is a world-class wrestler. He genuinely is a NCAA accredited fucking wrestler. He's not just some slouch. The boy can wrestle, and he's big. So being bigger and having a wrestling pedigree on top of that is going to create a potential problem. The other arena where that's going to create an issue here is his charging power. Michael Chandler does not have nearly the bag of tricks that Charles Oliveira has. He does not. I wouldn't say he has half the techniques that Oliveira has. The problem is the techniques that Chandler does have, he issues with 100% power 100% of the time. And the one thing that he is most known for, the thing that he made his name in that Dan Hooker fight with, is a Robbie Lawler-esque charge the fucking octagon one corner to the other, punching you in the face, marauding attack. Do Bronx is a bad motherfucker. But when you've got a dude that big, that quick, rushing you that hard, we saw in the Dan Hooker fight, all he has to do is connect. My heart tells me that Do Bronx can out-wrestle, he can outstrike, he can submit this motherfucker 99 times out of 100. But my brain tells me, because of the way this is all unfolded and because of the way this is looking like it's going to unfold, Chandler's going to unload that charge in round one, and he's going to catch Do Bronx just like he caught Hooker, and he's going to walk out of there with the belt and an undeserved ego that we're not going to hear the fucking end of until July.
Man, that hurts my feelings to think that that's a possibility.
You think that was easy to let those words come out of my mouth?
Nope. How's it feel to suck Satan's dick?
I'm saying I'm not proud of it, but it had to be said. I'm definitely gonna have to gargle after the show, though.
I think you just got finished gargling. You probably don't want to do that again for another 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, there's like just like a inherent bad taste in the back of my throat all of a sudden for some reason. Oh fuck! But that, boys and girls, is all we have got for this particular episode. That will wrap up UFC 262. The interesting thing is that regardless of all the unique point of views we have provided here, there is no way to tell how any of these fights are actually going to end up playing out without tuning in Saturday night to see. That being said, we are going to call it all for this particular episode. But before we get out of here, I do want to go around real quick and thank these fine gentlemen for taking part in this shitstorm of shenanigans that we call the I'm No Joe podcast. So first and foremost here, if someone has not signed them up for the coolest hug-a-chalathon you could ever possibly get involved with, how could they get a hold of you after the show, Mr. Fresh 03?
Remember, mark these fucking words. Mark these fucking words. Chandler's going out. Anyway, you can find me, youtube.com/fresh03. Not for a week, though. Not for a week, though. I believe this is my last show for a week. I won't be live again until next week's Saturday DIYing. I'm going to be in Montana. I don't know that Chael's going to be in Montana. If he is, I could use his strong back helping my parents move.
I mean, I'm sure he gets stranger requests. So
he can totally go. He can totally go to the hot springs with us. That would be cool.
I was going to say, it's not like he's not going to get nothing out of it. There's hot springs,
right? Going to the hot springs.
That being said, obviously not this week because we know that the killer himself has an appointment back in Vegas next week. But following next week, if somebody still needed to get themselves some directions to one killer from Kenosha and some delicious fried cheese curds, how might they be able to get a hold of you after the show, Mr. Golf T?
Well, all I can say is it's a good thing that he is away this week, because I wouldn't be giving out any directions this weekend, as I've got a 6th birthday party to attend to. But definitely, if you want directions for when he's finally fucking back, come hit me up Wednesday nights, 9:30 Central Times, right here on YouTube. And of course, every Thursday right here on I'm No Joke, because, I'm glad to send you those directions. And, I might even kick a curd or two your way on the way there. Give you a little nice ride snack there. Because I'm just saying, if you're asking me for directions, you got another 2-hour ride from where I'm at.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. And with that being said, we are going to call that all for this particular episode. So thank you to everyone who tuned in live. I see you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who catches this on a replay. If you enjoy what we do around here at the I'm No Joe podcast, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you ring that bell so you don't miss a goddamn episode. On the other hand, if we're just a couple of facially follicled fellas laughing at a young kid who can't grow a beard to save his ass, go ahead and give us a thumbs down, because we earned it and we won't dispute it. But that being said, we are going to call it all for this particular episode. So remember, until next time, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless you really don't think Kayla Harrison's ready for the UFC.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.